Thank you very much. Distinguished comrade revolutionaries, two revolutions. Let me use those terms to recognize Comrade Nathaniel Fallow Mangil, Chairman Emeritus of the Congress of Democratic Change, the Coalition for Democratic Change. Let me recognize Comrade Louis Wright, Vice Chair of the CDC, Comrade Mayor Morba Johnson, Chairman of the Youth League. Comrade Emmanuel Swan, Chairman of Monserrato County, the entire leadership of Monserrato County, Honorable Desin Wulawi Sibo, Revolutionary Honorable, representing District Number 16, Monserrato County, Comrade Jeremiah Edison Bay, National Secretary General of the Movement for Economic Empowerment, Comrade Zlatote, Chairman of CDC USA Iowa, and other distinguished comrades and militants assembled here today on our voice. We have assembled here today who bring you greetings from His Excellency George Manawia, leader of the CDC, and the immediate past president of the Republic of Liberia. We have assembled here today after successfully documenting this rogue regime for the last 1 year. A regime that is wallowing in incompetence and ineptitude. A regime that is bent on retrogressing the country back to the dark days. We have assembled here today to send out a caveat that when the CDC democratically surrendered power in January 2024, we did not do that out of weakness. That was done to demonstrate the unflinching commitment of His Excellency President George Manawia to the tenets of democracy. We have come here today to remind the despotic and emerging tyranny of a government of President Bouakai that you do not have the capacity to contain the Liberian people. You do not have the capacity to contain the Liberian people, because dictators who are far alert than you are were confronted and defeated on the battlefront. And we have come here to tell you today that the strength and legitimacy of the government lies in adhering to the rule of law. Attempts on the part of the Union Party Bouakai government to depart from adhering to the tenets of the Liberian Constitution is a dangerous trend that will be resisted, and resisted sternly. Like I said earlier, the Union Party government does not have the capacity. You do not have a police or an army or whatever security apparatus to contain the wrath of the Liberian people. Because Article 1 of the Constitution is still very active. And so we want to warn you, because you have embarked on a mission of arbitrary action, recognizing the Constitution of the Republic, disregarding all of the tenets of democracy. We have come here to warn you that we'll be mandating the Liberian people today to begin to prepare to stand up to the government. But we have got the constitutional right on Article 1 to stand up to any government that transgresses and disregards the Liberian Constitution. the lightening of constitutional violations by the Baka Unity Party government is totally reprehensible and totally unacceptable. We have come here today to send a caveat to the international community that we've been reminding you in private. That we've been telling you in private that the government is beginning to lose legitimacy. The government totally disregarding the constitution of the country is a recipe for national chaos. The government series of actions in illegal dismissal of civil servants, illegal removal of citizens from various payrolls, and now the illegal removal of the speaker, the treasonable removal of the speaker. And now the attempt to begin to target members of the CDC will be resisted. It will be resisted sternly.
Yo, national resistance movement. Yo. Don't resist the police. Yo. Don't resist the rest. Yo.
And we want to tell you that the peace and security of the country is in your hands. You can decide for the country to progress, for the country to retrogress. The peace and stability of this country is in the hands of President Joseph Boakai and the Unity Party. So we are calling on you. We are calling on you to desist. To desist. And we can tell you, an attempt to arrest any of the CDC lawmakers, maybe you arrest the entire CDC. An attempt to arrest any of the CDC lawmakers, you should be ready to arrest the entire CDC. Because we are aware that the bogus charges, the bogus investigation that has been purportedly conducted by the Liberia National Police and whatever national security apparatus has got no iota of transparency. We challenge you because you have not told the Liberian people who was manning the Capitol building on December 18. Who provided security for the Capitol building on December 18. You have not addressed the issue of how those chairs got removed from the joint chambers before it got gutted by fire. You have an obligation and you are answerable to the Liberian people. You are accountable to the Liberian people. And the reckless arrogance that you think you can crop up charges against decent Liberians and try to throw their reputation in the mud because you want to validate a treasonable removal of the speaker will be resisted. And will be resisted sternly. And we want to send out the message to ECOWAS. We want to send out the message to the European Union. We want to send out the message to the MRU. We want to send out the message to the US government that we have been silent and civil, not out of weakness, because even when we had the entire national security apparatus at our disposal in 2024, we did surrender power, not out of weakness, but out of strength, out of a total commitment to the democracy that is evolving in the country. And no government, no president will be allowed to retrogress the country. Some of us live in exile for many years. We will not go back to exile. We will confront you here. We will not go back into exile. We will not encourage any Liberian to run into exile. We should stay here and confront any emerging tyranny. And today we are mandating the National Youth League. The National Auxiliary Network to begin to mobilize the communities. We are mandating the various party structures to get into action. Because it is apparent that the Unity Party government has failed to provide security. The Unity Party government is arresting citizens, keeping them in detention for 3-4 weeks, extracting confessions from them and trying to use those confessions, even though they are aware that confessions extracted from citizens who are in detention, who have no access to legal representation. Not admissible in court. So all of those tortures, evidences that you purportedly received after torturing, after holding citizens beyond the 24 to 48 hours statutory period, and then putting bogus charges on them, and comparing them to self-incriminate. All of those things are futile efforts. Those are futile efforts to put fear in the opposition. And those efforts will be resisted. They will be resisted strongly. And we call all other members of the opposition community today. The attack is on the CDC. The CDC that governed the country for 6 years and largely held all of the freedoms of the country. All of the freedom provided the constitution were held intact on the CDC 6 years of governance. And the CDC democratically transferred power in 2024, not out of weakness, but out of strength. Because our leader, His Excellency President George Manawi, is a global peace icon. And he has further demonstrated his credential on the world stage. Even in the midst when people are planning war, we know you are planning war. You are planning to bring war to the country. You are mobilizing and killing innocent citizens even while we are in power. You are activating people like General Botnegi and others. You are bringing weapons into the country. And we are aware of these things. But because the election was so close, in the wisdom of the president, His Excellency President, he thought he was not willing to, he would have been contained if he was a despot. But in his wisdom and in the supreme interest of the peace and stability of the country, we surrender power democratically and peacefully, put in place a robust transition. Turn over to you a country that was stable. Turn over to you an economy that was stable. Turn over to you balances in the national accounts that were far more than what we inherited in 2018. We turn over to you a country that was stable. We turn over to you a country that was peaceful. The CDC government was not wage hunting employees in government because we had a mandate from President Weah not to wage hunt people who were from Unity Party. We had Unity Party people, new Unity Party people working in our various offices, and they know, and all across the government. And today you have taken power, and you are arrogantly targeting ordinary citizens who are only earning their daily bread. I can tell you the day of reckoning is here. The day of reckoning is here. And that we said earlier, we want to call on the CDC legislative caucus. I want to thank Senator Nathaniel Fallow Mangill. We'll be calling for a boycott. We'll be working along with Senator Mangill to ensure that the CDC legislative boycott is sooner, because you have overthrown a speaker. You have passed an illegal budget. They will be pursuing legal action against the illegal budget. All because all expenditure executed on the budget for 2025 will be illegal because they have been signed by an illegal speaker. The speaker of the 55th National Legislature remains Councillor J. Funati Kofa. And any attempt to do otherwise is a violation of the Constitution. And that action will be challenged in court, will be challenged politically in every legal way permissible. So on this note, we'd love to conclude by reiterating our call to all the citizen structures around the 15 counties, because it is clear and apparent that you have been targeted by the government. Our members are being picked up and being kept in confinement beyond the 48-hour legal period. The government of Liberia has ignored the right of habeas corpus that is granted under Article 21 of the Liberian Constitution. And for the government, habeas corpus is a right that even in a state of emergency that must be respected. But the Unity Party Bwaka government has ignored the right of habeas corpus and held Liberians in custody, torturing them, extracting incriminating information from them, and is attempting to use those pieces of information in court. The judiciary is being weaponized. The judiciary is being disrespected. The rulings of the Supreme Court are being disrespected. And we can assure you, because your action is equivalent to the breakdown of law and order in the country. And the government should be the first upholding the rule of law. But the government is at the forefront of the violation of the Liberian Constitution, thereby leaving no option to citizens but to begin to organize to defend your rights under the Constitution of the Republic. So in conclusion, we like to mandate all of the structures of the CDC to begin to mobilize in your community, because it is clear and apparent that the Union Party government has become a tyranny. It has become a virtual military junta that is governing the country in a junta style that must be resisted. Because we will not allow our members and citizens of the country to be picked up, tortured, and bogus charges placed upon them. So we are mandating the structures to begin immediately to mobilize in the communities. We want to warn the government not to attempt to arrest any of our lawmakers, because that would be attempt to arrest the entire CDC. On this note, we'd like to tell you that His Excellency President George Manuel Weah remains a beacon of hope for this country, and because he loves you very much, that's why he surrendered power peacefully, even in the midst of allegations of fraudulent activities taking place. He opted for the supreme interest and stability of the country. That's why he surrendered power peacefully, thereby putting you on a new level at the international and national level. So on this note, we love to tell you that the CDC will remain robust. The CDC is ready to confront this tyranny of a regime. The CDC is mobilizing the community. We want to cause everybody to lend your cooperation to the CDC. We'll be working with our brothers in the opposition community to make sure that this government changes course. This government must come back to constitutional order. The government must come back to constitutional order. And we are calling on major stakeholders in the government. The National Security Advisor happens to be a veteran of the Student Unification Party, a former human rights lawyer. And we are disappointed that under his watch as National Security Advisor, these gross violations of the Constitution. You have a historical responsibility, Senior Comrade Kofi Woods. If you are not in charge as National Security Advisor, you must quit, because history will judge you very harshly. Because under your watch, citizens of the country are being arrested, have been here for 3 weeks. The 3 Liberians were arrested on January 4th. They have not been released up to now after 2 successive raids of habeas corpus issued against the government. If the court issue a habeas corpus against the government and that raid is ignored, what is the remedy? So that remedy, maybe it's in the communities. Maybe that remedy is in the community. So that test, so the government is calling on the test whether your 10,000 security forces can contain the 5 million Liberian people. The legitimacy of your government does not lie in the security of the police, the brutal police that has embarked on killing citizens. The legitimacy of your government lies in your victory in 2023 and the democratic transfer of power to you. And you should stay the course and respect the Constitution of the country. Because your attempts to violate the Constitution, the citizens have got the right under Article 1 of the Constitution to protect themselves. And we are beginning that process. Thank you very much. May God save